Hello ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to be reading some more video game design. My throat is feeling okay at the moment, which is good. So we're going to read for 30 to 40 minutes, hopefully, today to make up for some of the time that we missed on Thursday to Friday. So let's set a time for 40 minutes. Let's just check. So today is Sunday the 26th of January. It's 5:30 exactly. Let's read for 30 to 40 minutes. Here we go. So, last we finished off with, we had collaborating with your team, which was what you can expect for when collaborating, so diverse perspectives that may not match your own, joint decision making with input from various team members, communicating and meetings to discuss progress, address blockers or issues, and plan next steps, giving feedback to and receiving it from your peers, conflict resolution and negotiation when team members have differences in opinions or approaches, a support system that provides encouragement and motivation, shared recognition for team achievements. That's where we left off last time. So let's get into where we are now, page 55, learning from other designers. One of the best parts of learning from other designers is to see how they tackle problems and what tools they use to get there. Understanding their approaches and techniques can be inspiring. Consider discussing the following when engaging with others' designs, or really anyone else's work. Why they made design choices the way they did, what message they were trying to convey through the design, what constraints they were working under to achieve the result, what goals or intent they were trying to achieve with the work. Remember, there's not always one way to accomplish something. There's also not a right way or a wrong way to do something. The world isn't that black and white. Someone may have a completely different process. Pardon me. Someone may have a completely different process from the way you approach work, but they can still accomplish great things. Stay open-minded and learn from others. Analyzing games. Checking out other games can really boost your game design skills by seeing how different parts of a game work together to make it fun and engaging. You'll pick up new ideas and tricks, plus you'll learn what works and what doesn't, helping you avoid potential pitfalls in your own projects. Here's a fun exercise to help you identify what works or doesn't in a game. Play a game. Any game. Play a game, any game. I mean, yeah. Play a game, any game. Pardon me, sorry, I need to cough just quite a bit, hang on. Here's a fun exercise to help you identify what works or doesn't in a game. Play a game, any game. Number 1. Number 2. Figure out what makes it enjoyable. Number 3. Pick a feature and dig into the thought process behind it. Man, play a game, any game should not have been that funny. For like, analyzing games. How do you analyze games? Play games. Oh, that's funny. For example, in that popular multiplayer pirate game where you sail, hunt for treasure, and battle creatures, try to understand the mechanics and design and how. No, there's no how. What? For example, in that popular multiplayer pirate game where you sail, hunt for treasure, and battle creatures, try to understand how the mechanics and design contribute to the fun. That's the cadence I was looking for. I love how they were nondescript about it being Sea of Thieves. It continues. Okay, so we had 1, 2, and 3, which was play a game, any game, figure out what makes it enjoyable, and 3, pick a feature, dig into the thought process behind it, and then we have 4, list what systems this feature includes, which is, for example, how many attacks did it take to take care of the Kraken, what abilities worked best on it, and why. Number 5, list the interactions that encourage a fun aspect of the game. For example, in this pirate game, this nondescript pirate game, the players are given a map to be able to plan their route. The designers leaned into collaboration and made the map live across players, meaning that when one player moved the map, the others saw it update in real time. Let me just read that again. For example, in this pirate game, the players are given a map to be able to plan their route. The designers leaned into collaboration and made the map live across players, meaning that when one player moved the map, the others saw it update in real time. I feel like moved the map? Is that what actually would mean? Like, would it not be like moved on the map? Or, I don't know. I don't know what they're trying to convey, what they mean by when they say they made the map live across players so that when one player moved the map, the others saw it update in real time. Like, why would you move the map? That specific sentence doesn't really make sense to me. Then again, I don't know what this nondescript pirate game is, nor have I played it. 6, think about what you'd improve about the game, and list why. Putting your ideas on paper. As a creative, the biggest step is just starting. Sometimes it can be the hardest step you'll have to take. Putting your ideas on paper makes them real and tangible. Putting the ideas on paper makes them real and tangible, moving them from your mind into a space where they can begin to shape and refine them, where you can begin to shape and refine them. It doesn't have to be perfect, just getting something down is progress. When your ideas are in front of you, you'll see connections, spot problems, and develop solutions. You can prune what doesn't work, expand on what excites you, and start to feel the momentum. It's the first spark that can ignite the entire creative process. And from there, each step gets a little easier. Gathering the tools to get you started. Get the basics together to start thinking through your concept. Grab your sketch pads, design docs, or whatever helps you brainstorm and plan your ideas. Tools are only as effective as how you use them. I once even used Play-Doh to prototype a game. Here are some tools to help you start creating and prototyping your game. Okay, so here's what I'm noticing. I'm noticing that sometimes I'm reading and my eyes go back up to the last line the start of the line that I was reading. I'm not necessarily sure how I want to deal with that at the moment. What I know I could just use my finger. But what I do want to do is practice. I've been trying to slow down how fast I'm speaking to let my eyes and brain read it properly and actually think it. But I don't know if that's necessarily the way to do this. I do notice though that I am still skipping words and sometimes replacing words. So I think what I want to do is use the practice of using the negative space of words. So instead of trying to always be saying something, I think I want to slow down. And even if that means stopping from sentences, I think that's a good idea. Just to make sure that I'm getting my cadence right, and also that I'm able to keep the flow of what I'm interpreting proper. Google Sheets. Perfect for organizing ideas, tracking progress, or even simulating game mechanics. PowerPoint. Great for wireframing or creating simple interactive mockups. What is wireframing? Wireframing. I'm not seeing many do. What is wireframing? There we go. Okay, yeah. A wireframe is the skeleton of your digital project. Think of it as the foundation for your website, app, or dashboard. It focuses on layout, content placement, not colors, fonts, or any visual polish. Okay, right. I think that does make sense. So it's like going, taking whatever you want your medium to look like, and then just using a placeholder box for this is where this will go, this is where this will go. We'll have text here, we'll have an image here, we'll have a whatever here. I think that's what wireframing is. So how does that impact what we've got going on here? Let's see. So, tools to get you started. So this is for prototyping your game. Got it. So PowerPoint, great for wireframing or creating simple interactive mockups. So using PowerPoint to prototype would be, I feel like creating a set design or scene design of this is, so in the game system, this is over here, that's over here. This is maybe how the HUD looks. I think I could definitely see how that would work. I don't know how it would work for game mechanics. If you're using PowerPoint to wireframe simple interactive mockups. I suppose what you could do is, because PowerPoint's a slideshow, it would be you have PowerPoint slides, and each one can show the like transitional properties of the game. So this can interact with this, and then you can PowerPoint slide, like how you do animation with a book, where you can like flick through the book and it shows the animation. You can do that with wireframing the concepts of the game, where if we pretend this object is taking this action, how does that translate? And then you use a visual mock-up without any actual coding language. It's just you moving things around to show the impact of that. See, and this is why you don't fucking use AI. I thought of that. I used my fucking head and I worked it out. Fuck AI. Fuck AI. Don't let it think for you. You've got a great mind up here. You've got a great mind. Right in here. So use it. Paper. Sometimes the simplest tools are the most powerful. Sketch out levels, characters, or mechanics. Play-Doh. Ideal for quick 3D hands-on... I moved words around that. I was too fast. Play-Doh. Ideal for quick hands-on 3D prototyping or to visualize physical game elements. Twine. A fantastic free and open source tool for creating interactive text-based narratives. See figure 4.3. Okay, this is very much akin to like a flow chart here. So this is Twine, I assume, right here. And it's showing like a flowchart of decisions by the looks of it. So we got start. Barnyard Bob wakes up in the hay of his barn from a loud crow of a... And then it's kind of cut off a little bit. Looks like all of this is a bit cut off. That's okay. So then we've got two choices presented. Get up, stay in the hay. So get up. Barnyard Bob goes into the farmhouse to make some breakfast. Stay in the hay. Barnyard Bob rested for 20 more minutes until the rooster crowed again. And then we have different interacting things. So stay in the hay then goes to back to get up, but it can also go like further down. And we have get up, go to morning chores or to the chicken coop. So Bob heads out to the barn and begins his morning chores, tending to whatever. In the chicken coop, Barnyard Bob goes out to fetch some eggs from to go out go. Barnyard Bob goes out to fetch some eggs from the hens. And then the morning chores goes down to continue chores and go into town, and the chicken coop goes in to make breakfast and collect eggs. Okay, continue to chores. Mid-morning hours, working in the fields, going town, saddles up his favourite horse, Fiona, gentle breeze, yeah. Make breakfast and just simple breakfast made in the shade of whatever, yeah. Barnyard Bob was unable to collect eggs, so he just went back to sleep. Huh, imagine that. He just went back to sleep and then you go back to the start again. Okay, I can see that. I think the choice of example here is a bit, I don't know, rubbish, but fair enough. Twine is a great tool to help you start planning your game. Google Docs. Write out storylines, dialogue, or keep track of mechanics in a collaborative document. Cardboard. Actually, don't use Google Docs because they scrape it for AI and they use it to train their AI model. Don't use anything Google, Microsoft, like fucking, it's all terrible, man. They all want to steal your work. Don't fucking use, don't use anything which has any kind of AI. If it has Copilot, fuck it. If it has fucking Gemini, fuck that shit, man. Absolutely not. Cardboard. Build quick physical models of your game's environment or props. Designing a game on paper. You can kick off a game project with just some good old-fashioned paper and pen. Start by jotting down your game ideas, mechanics, and features. Whew. This helps you organize your thoughts and figure out which concepts work and which don't. However, the biggest challenge is that you can't really answer the key question, is this fun, without creating a prototype. So it's just good for knowing what systems you're maybe looking to experiment with. The best ways to get started are print out items or resources if your type of game allows that. Type of game allows that. Why wouldn't it allow that? Let me think about that actually. So print out items or resources if your type of game allows that. Why wouldn't your type of game allow you to print out items or resources? Right, okay. I think with resources, that would be maybe things to help with your game's idea or making it. And items, what would an item be? I suppose it would be like like your basic dagger in like an RPG, or your like starting sword. Maybe I'm being a bit too literal with what the items are. I'm just thinking, like, take a game genre like RPG, and then resources for RPG would be, you know, if it's a fantasy RPG, is it medieval RPG, is it a fairy tale RPG, is it a sci-fi RPG? And then items would be, well, in those games, what are some actual items that are within those games? So it could be basic dagger, it could be a health potion, it could be a berry, you know, whatever it may be. I think I could be completely wrong. Write a game design document, GDD. For more on this, see chapter 13. Chapter 13 is what? Building your game design concepts. This is refining your concept and scope and things of that nature. Cool. This is a detailed blueprint of your game that includes your game's vision, mechanics, story, and more. And I do think that's a really important thing. I know a lot of this is about reading, but I really want to use my brain where I can, because I am really interested in this, and I think it's good to talk about what things this can mean for you. So when we're talking about a game design document for the context of game design, or any story, like even for something like a book, having something which very like a cover letter to a job, where you have something that very briefly summarizes your game's vision, mechanics, story, and other things, but then also can go into the greater breakdown of every single mechanic. I think that's really, really good. Create a spreadsheet that can act as a game board. It can help you visualize the structure and manage various components effectively. Develop a layout of the experience and write down the interactions in the layout. This provides a clear view of how players will navigate and engage with your game. Here's an example of printing out a game's resources to play through the game loop. Figure 4.4 shows a few cards from what was meant to be a card game I designed. Players were given resources and they had to manage and negotiate for more by completing tasks with others. Bringing pieces help you refine your game. Okay, interesting. Yeah, it's just an example, I suppose, of how paper can be used, because this is still under the paper chapter, right? Yeah, this is still designing your game on paper. Figure 4-5 shows an example of designing a game in a spreadsheet. While looking for a new game to make like a Bodaville, we tested a new concept in which players battle for resources on a board. We were able to understand whether the metrics and systems were interesting and balanced, and what was missing due to the live collaborative nature of the document. It's not optimal for some games, but for others it's a great way to create an interactive experience in a document. Spreadsheets can be an unlikely tool to understand what's working or not in your game. And what have we got here? We've got blood, bone, wood. So we've got some resources, and we've got rate, amount, rounds. Okay, I'm not necessarily looking to like understand what their game idea was, because oftentimes I feel that a spreadsheet can be readable, but it's oftentimes designed with the user and creator primarily in mind. I know a lot of my spreadsheets are horribly mischaracterized or mislabeled, because all I really care about is that I know where things are, and I'm the one who designed it, and if I can't remember, then it doesn't matter. Like, everything I need to know is in the final place where I put all the information. Everything else is just inference, so there we are. There's also probably just a sign that I'm not that good at making Excel documents, but there we go. Figure 4.6 shows an example of a layout of the experience with high levels. Figure 4.6 shows an example of a layout of the experience with the high level of player interactions. It's a top-down view of a map that includes puzzles, points of interest, and all made in PowerPoint. Figure 4.6 shows an example of a layout of the experience Figure 4.6 shows an example of a layout of the experience with the high level of player interactions. It's a top-down view of a map that includes puzzles and points of interest, all made in PowerPoint. Create a map of your game in PowerPoint. Yeah, so this is what I thought about with PowerPoint. So you know how I was saying that you'd use like different slides to convey the transitive properties of what's going on? That appears to be what they're doing here. Where they've got, you know, like set pieces of their world, as it were, and then how things can be moved, what things go where. So this is just an example of a room, like there's a door which you need a key for, where's the key, there's a piano, a picture, you know, all that kind of stuff, and what's where, and why do you need it, and all that kind of nonsense. Designing a system in a spreadsheet. Use spreadsheets to map out game systems, track mechanics, or manage data, as I've done in the spreadsheet shown in Figure 4.7. It's a handy way to keep things organized and see how different parts of your game fit together. So we've got... I'm trying to see what they're trying to say here. Okay. So it looks like this is something to do with friend requests, for example. Probably not with other people, but with NPCs, because each one of these requests has a different deep question associated with it. Each one of those things has an identifying number associated with it and a rate. So a base match rate, a match rate minimum, a match rate maximum. So it's the base and then the standard deviation of the rate. The axis is a preference, okay, and then depending on which one you choose, I think there are some like different preferences. So axis preference is 1, 2, 3, aesthetic preference, and item preference. So I suppose if you were to say come up with this particular aesthetic, you might be more receptive to a friend request, you know, things of that nature. That's just what I'm gleaning from this. I could be completely wrong, and that's completely okay. This is all interpretation, and it's all about testing my eye for what is a spreadsheet used for. I learned some interesting things about this, about using like a standard deviation and also having an ID number for each of the questions, which I think is very interesting. Building a world. Imagining a world in game design is the first step to creating a detailed and consistent environment that immerses players. This environment includes defining the world's aesthetics, architecture, lore, history, cultures, and characters. Every element, from the visual design to the sounds, must work together cohesively to make the world feel believable and lived in. I provide details on storytelling and world building in Chapter 8, which I'm pretty sure is just the world building chapter. Learning how to prototype. Prototyping is the process of creating a basic, often simplified version of your game to test ideas and mechanics. It's a great way to explore ideas, test assumptions, and validate concepts without having to invest a ton of time in the idea. Prototypes can range from rough sketches on paper to Figma screens, see Figure 4.8, okay, to fully interactive digital prototypes, you see Figure 4.9, depending on what you're trying to test and the fidelity needed to do so. Okay, so a Figma screen looks like just, I don't know, something from this, and then Figure 4.9 is like a full, like 3D boxed up model. Prototypes explore ideas. When we first started making Chief Emoji Officer, we tested a few different concepts for player input, including text via keyboard and emojis, see Figure 4.10, so I think the one after this. Validate your concepts. Okay. Nice. I just got a message from... I'm just going to pause that for a second, pause the timer, because I just had a message and I want to make sure that... Cool. It's just someone asking about the celebrating someone's birthday that we did yesterday. Let's... Cool. Let's restart the timer. We've been going for over 20 minutes. That's fucking awesome. Hell yeah, my voice is doing well. Yippee! Let's not test it too much. Let's get smaller. Okay, let's keep on going. We tested these features well before we had any sort of story, gameplay pattern, or systems in place to evaluate player choices. We're trying to figure out what the most interesting method of input was for the players. No, for players. So we tried the following. Keyboard input with basic human language responses. This method was complicated because players can respond with anything. We would have a hard time curating the story and containing all the branches if players had unlimited options. So that's to say, like, physically using a keyboard would mean that players could type and, you know, you'd have to account for the kinds of responses they'd want to give, which not probably, is what they're saying would mean there'd be loads more branching pathways, which would be too much scope for them. Thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs up emojis. This Boolean choice didn't leave a lot to be interpreted, which felt less fun. If you're just answering yes or no questions, the questions also must be in a format to be answered like that, which led to boring dialogue. And I just want to check what Boolean means. Boolean. Let's see, is there... Where's the Cambridge Dictionary? Or any other dictionary. Cambridge Dictionary, because I'm from the UK. Boolean is an adjective, so it's used to describe something. It's used to describe a method of searching on a computer using terms such as and, not, or Boolean operators. Interesting. So what would that mean? So if it's Boolean, the Boolean choice didn't leave a lot to be. So it's Boolean... Not quite sure. I'm going to look at another dictionary. So, still an adjective of, relating to, or being a logical combinatorial system, such as Boolean algebra, that represents symbolic relationships between entities or on-off computer circuits. Okay, so it represents symbolically. There's so much parentheses here, holy shit. Let me, so, Boolean algebra that represents symbolically relationships, such as those implied by logical operators and or and not, between entities. Okay, so it's used to, so it's of, relating to, or being a logical combinatorial system that represents relationships between entities. I don't know, I feel like Boolean just means like boring, but I'm not sure where that's coming from. That answers it. A Boolean is a type of system that has two possible values, true or false. So when they're saying this Boolean choice, it means literally this like one of two outcome choice. Didn't leave a lot to be interpreted. Got it. And see, that's why we do research and we don't ask AI, because fuck AI. Piece of shit. Serves no purpose other than to non-consensually undress people, mainly women and children, and also to just do nothing but waste a portion of our clean water and just contributes nothing to the economy at all. Nothing at all. It creates a service that we have to pay for so that rich people can get more rich and they can just feed us slop. Because it doesn't think of anything new, it just takes everything that already exists and doesn't understand it that well. And then makes you think that it does. Unreal. A variety of emojis. This was the most fun and the input method we went with. It left players room for interpretation. It could be an answer for a lot of different types of dialogue, and we were able as developers to curate the branches so the writing didn't grow exponentially with exponential branches. You've used exponentially twice there. You don't do that. That's bad grammar. This is the most fun and the input method we went with. It left players room for interpretation. It could be an answer for a lot of different types of dialogue, and we were able, as developers, to curate branches so the writing didn't grow exponentially with exponential branches. You'd say, so the writing didn't grow exponentially with myriad branches, or so the writing didn't grow massively with exponential branches. Like, that's what you do, because yeah, exponential is used to describe the way data moves as you multiply it, if I believe. Because like a linear increase would be the more features you add, the more things you have to add, but it's like 1-to-1. Exponential would be the more things you add, the vastly greater. It goes exponentially. There is a stupidly greater amount of output that comes as a result of the input. That's what exponential means. You don't use it twice. A variety of emojis. Yeah, we've just said that. As a designer, you'll spend a lot of time prototyping at various fidelities. You may be coding sometimes, you may be using paper or various craft supplies other times. Being a game designer means being resourceful to test out your ideas. Here are the top reasons to prototype. Create smoother communication with prototyping. Sometimes tangible makes it easier for team members or testers to understand the end goal. Explore ideas more easily by testing things quickly. Instead of relying on an engineer or spending effort to code a new feature, you can test it out with a prototype. Spot design flaws early and understand more about what you're looking to make. You'll learn a lot by testing out your ideas, such as finding out that the idea you had was too complicated or needs more details for players to understand. Speed up the design process. While there is some effort up front, prototyping can actually speed things up in the long run. It helps you gather feedback, make changes, and validate ideas earlier in the process. Remember, you don't need to be a skilled engineer to create a game, and some designers don't spend a lot of time in the code. You don't need to be a skilled engineer to create a game, and some designers don't spend a lot of time in code in the industry. But learning the basics and being able to create your own interactive prototypes will help you sell your ideas to the people you're working with. Moving from hobbyist to industry. You can take quite a few different paths to go from hobbyist to industry, and each one is valid. You can make prototypes and games and publish your own online. You can join an indie or even larger studio if you've got the portfolio. Or you can attend classes to learn from some experienced folks, network with others, and practice your craft. My personal journey included going to a large state university as an undergrad in game design and then attending that same school for a Master's of Science in Modeling and Simulation. My first design job was at a small game studio housed within the university that made games for research and training. One of the instructors at the school was the director, and I applied to be an unpaid intern for 10 hours a week. I had saved up money from my previous job in information technology, IT, so that I could focus on school and doing work in the field. I was accepted and eventually became a paid intern, and then I was offered a full-time position. I stayed there for 3 years until I moved on to new things, including traveling to South America to do volunteer graphic design work in exchange for a place to stay, and then moving to the Bay Area for a new design job. Building a portfolio. Most game development jobs require a portfolio to be considered for hiring. A portfolio showcases your skills and creativity, highlights your contributions to a project, and illustrates processes. Process? Oh, okay, I see. Most game development jobs require a portfolio to be considered for hiring. A portfolio showcases your skills and creativity, highlights your contributions to a project, and illustrates process and problem solving. Yeah, it illustrates process and problem solving. That really threw me. And it also serves as a personal branding tool for how you want to be viewed by the world. No, in the world. Personal branding tool. A personal branding tool by the world. A typical game design portfolio is a basic web page including an about page, games/projects, and maybe a resume. Making a portfolio takes time and effort, but a good one can pay off. I recommend including these elements. A clear headline. This headline highlights what you want to be known for, like combat game designer or level designer or lead game designer. Engaging visuals. Show off some of your work or who you are, something like what's shown in figure 411, which is just like I don't know, a bathtub with some cool particle effects. Include visuals you're proud of to show off your skills in a portfolio. Your process. Include detailed information about your design process, goals of the design, outcomes, and any relevant screenshots, videos, GIFs, charts, or sketches. Also include tools that were used in the design process. For instance, I worked on the effects for a game I made at Global Game Jam with a few friends. So I wrote visual effects. I created water, electricity, spiders, and bubbling ooze effects using Illustrator and particle sims in Engine under that pieces page. Okay. I created the water, electricity, spiders, and bubbling ooze effects using Illustrator and particle systems in Engine under that pieces page. Okay. Your contributions. Contributions can include your specific contributions, especially if you worked with a team. This could be game design, systems design, visual effects, character design, scripting, 3D art, animation, level design, mission design, narrative design, and so on. Attributions. Always make sure to include your attributions to content you used that wasn't made by you or was referenced from elsewhere. Maybe you used Midjourney. Better not catch any of you using fucking Midjourney. Or reference images from Pinterest or references from a specific artist. Always make sure to add a link and information for that original piece of work. It's just good practice. After you have your layout and menu solidified, you'll need to add those projects. A portfolio piece for a game designer can include visual and prose information about the outcome of the work and the design process you went through to create the work. The goal is to communicate your thoughts about the work and why you created it. This is a story about your 0 to 1 process. Make sure to only include work you are interested in on your portfolio. It doesn't make sense to include 4 mobile projects when you don't want to work you don't want to make mobile games. Make sure to only include work you are interested in on your portfolio. It doesn't make sense to include 4 mobile projects when you don't want to make mobile games. Instead, include 1 or 2 mobile games and some other work you're more interested in. Even if it's unfinished, you also don't need to include every project you've worked on, just the ones you feel are most representative of your work. And I think that's a really important thing. I know that historically I've had to unlearn or scramble when I've gone because I've included everything I've ever fucking done, which is, by the way, is a massive undertaking in of itself, but I don't give a fuck about everything I've always done. I and others, I think, really need to take that to heart, that when you're doing something, you need to articulate the things that you are the most proud of, most ready to talk about, or the things that are, very specifically, hopefully going to be adjacent to your career. If you want to have a career, I'd love it if we could all just have a basic, form of pay to all live, but here we are. For instance, I included my recently released mobile game, like Chief Emoji Officer, in my portfolio and my larger scale work at Niantic and Oculus/Meta because I want to work on story games on a global scale. I didn't include some of my more experimental games, like a Discord text adventure, because I already had narrative games on my portfolio that were more polished. Good stuff. I think we're almost... Yeah, we've got 2.5 minutes left. That's fine. Tip. Don't forget to include a prominent way to contact you. I suggest including LinkedIn, email, or any other social media that you use for professional purposes. It would be sad to find out that people wanted to contact you but couldn't find a way to do so. Joining a game jam. A game jam is a supercharged weekend of creativity in which you and a bunch of folks dive into making a game from scratch. You've got anywhere from 24 hours to a few days to crank out a game, usually with a fun theme or prompt that gets dropped at the start to spark your imagination. I have the fondest memories of diving into a game jam with a small group of friends over the weekend. It's a fantastic experience full of pure creativity and excitement. Imagine a game jam as a hackathon, specifically for game developers. There are no high stakes, just a lot of fun and the thrill of seeing your ideas come to life in a ridiculously short amount of time. Game jams are the ultimate playground for experimenting with wild ideas, meeting other people interested in game development, and practicing your skills. You get to Stretch your creative muscles, try out new roles, and maybe even discover hidden talents you didn't know you had. I highly recommend joining a game jam. Throughout my career, I've participated in more than 10 jams ranging from major, widely recognized ones to smaller internal company jams, and let me tell you, when I joined my first game jam, I had a very little idea of what I was doing and I didn't have much experience. I met plenty of people who were hesitant to participate because they felt they didn't have the necessary skills to make a game. But in my experience, game jam communities are incredibly welcoming to newcomers, and that's always something valuable you can contribute and learn. There's always something valuable you can contribute and learn. I once worked with a newbie who took on multiple duties, including writing the game's manual, creating all the dialogue, and even creating all the game's sound. So even if you're not a programmer or an artist, there's still plenty of room for your talents in a game jam. That's all about jumping in, having fun, and being willing to contribute, and learning by doing. Here are some of my favorite game jams to join. Itch.io Game Jams. Itch.io is a hub for game creators, offering a variety of game jams throughout the year. From theme challenges to open-ended events, there's always something happening. Itch.io's platform makes it easy to join a jam, upload your game, and connect with communities of enthusiastic developers and players. Global Game Jam, GGJ. The Global Game Jam is the largest game jam in the world, bringing together thousands of developers from all corners of the globe. Held annually, GGJ challenges participants to create games around the secret theme revealed at the start of the event. It's a fantastic opportunity to collaborate with local developers or participate online and see how different cultures interpret the same theme. And that is my alarm going off, but we'll just finish this. Ludum Dare. One of the longest running game jams, Ludum Dare takes place several times a year and is known for its fast-paced 48-hour solo jam, the Compo, and the more relaxed 72-hour team jam, the Jam. It's a great place to push your limits, experiment with new ideas, and get constructive feedback from a passionate community of game developers. And there we are. We will end it off there with practicing your craft next time we start. Thank you very much. I'm glad that my voice it's a bit sore now, but I'm glad that I've had the opportunity to do this. As always, this is all about me starting reading again. It's been years since I've done that. It's all about me learning how to read and articulate words that are written again, because it's been such a long time, and also to improve the way that I speak. As you guys can see, I sometimes add words, miss words, skip words, change words around, and I don't have dyslexia or anything like that. I just sometimes move my eyes in certain ways, and it's all about bringing that together and becoming a bit more. I already have enough charisma to fucking supply a nation. So I really want to be learning how to use that and hone that and be very purposeful about that. So that's the purpose of this whole thing. Thank you very much for watching. Fuck ICE, fuck AI, stay well and stay safe, and I'll see you soon.